Hey guys, what's going on? It's Alex with Precision Auto Diagnostics. I'm sorry that I haven't posted anything in oh god, months probably, I think. Just quick, I don't even know if I'd call it a channel update, but I had taken a sort of a management position at the shop where I work and did not get a really good chance to film anything or realized partway through, doing a diag that that'd be something good that I thought I could film and put out there. This is sort of the same thing where, I don't really. I've kind of already gone through and done quite a bit, but I did find something kind of cool on this one. I thought I would show you guys. So, hopefully I can get transition more back into working on cars every day and just, making content for you guys, or at least having the opportunity to. It sort of depends on what all comes in the door. But yeah, this is a Chrysler 300. It's a 2013, and it came from a used car lot. And they had done something in the back around the battery. The ground was already disconnected when it showed up. I'm not entirely sure what they did. They said that they were doing something with some grounds, and somehow something touched the positive terminal on the battery, and then it didn't do anything. So, already diagnosed the. Man, it is dark in there. 1 second. Uh, Already diagnosed the body control module. Sorry I didn't film anything on that for you guys, but it was pretty basic, just power and ground check communication lines. Checked it at the CAN-C star connector that's behind the. I've already got the glove box out, but glove box would be in this area. Went ahead and put a body control module in it just to have communication to basically to anything. And it did come. It's kind of pre-programmed. I still have to do a vehicle configuration and write the VIN, so there is still programming in that way through YTech, and hopefully I'll get to show you guys that sometime. But I've already gotten that done. But now I can actually turn the key all the way on, and if I go over here, it will start. I can't reach the brake pedal down there right now, but let you guys see the scope pattern on here. I'm at a 5-volt increment and 200 milliseconds per division, but I'll go back a screen real quick. I'll show you guys. You can see I've got a pretty good bus signal here. It's, pretty clean, not too noisy. But I did find, after I put in the body control module, there is still an error with the CAN-C bus. I'll go ahead and plug it in. It's not going to hurt anything for me to plug it back in. I just had to unplug it again to get communication back. But if you guys look on these star connectors, if I can do this with one hand. So there's a bunch of empty pins. This is just for things this isn't optioned with. This other one these other couple that are disconnected here were already disconnected. They're for something this car doesn't have. But this is the offending module. And just so you guys know, basically all these star connectors do, with the exception of the one on the end that has 3 wires, really all these things are basically like a one big splice connector. So you changing where these go in this connector, like I said, with the exception of this one with 3 wires, that it can't fit anywhere else. It's not really going to hurt anything because the wires are still coated by, well, you can see this one's got a yellow, and if it would focus, a yellow and then a blue with white, and then you've got yellow and purple white here, and so on. But yeah, if you plug the if I can get it plugged back in. Turn it so you guys can. I'll tell you, I'll set you down really quick. Let's see if I can get it where it's not plugged all the way in. Okay, there we go. That's good enough of a start. So, whenever I plug this one in, you're going to see that the bus is going to basically crash. And there. It's plugged in. Give it a second. You can see some error starting to happen. Okay, there it goes. The cluster just changed. I don't know if you can hear it, but if you look, yeah, now I've got service power steering, service transmission, continue to drive, do not shift, and the bus is starting to drop messages. And if you, let me see if I can get it to pause where it's got a really bad one. It'll get worse the longer it's like this, but you can see a pretty good one there where there's just sort of a large section here where the bias voltage drops really hard and then comes back up. If you see stuff like that, I'll zoom back out and see if it'll get worse again. So all these little drops like this here, and there. If you see stuff like that, typically that's going to be a module failure. You could have wiring problems or something like that, but it's a module generally acting up, causing the network to have issues. Usually, if a CAN line, fully shorts to ground and it brings the whole bus down, you won't have, almost any of this. It'll just basically pull down. Same thing if it shorts the voltage, it'll just usually pull up. So if you come over here again, back into our splice pack, if I can do this one-handed, I have to set you guys down again, sorry. Come on. Oh, I thought I could do this without having my little pick, but I don't think I can. I'm sure you guys are getting a great shot of my hands right now. Let's see if I can hook that little tab with one of these screws. Okay. There we go. Alright, so I've got it just slightly loose. I don't think I've actually pulled it all the way out yet. But whenever I pull this, you should see the bus come all the way back up. Yeah, there you go. And now I've got more of my cluster back. I might still have some messages, but now I get, press brake to start, ignition accessory on, the Prindle lights back up. So without going and looking at the diagram, because it's late and I'm really trying to get out of here, but I did want to show you guys that, just because you have weird errors like that, especially on these Chryslers, these star connectors for the different CAN buses. Now, this is not for the entire bus for the vehicle. This is for the CAN C bus, which on this one involves transmission, power train control module, gear shift selector, a bunch of, what would typically be like a high-speed bus sort of thing. There's usually between 3 and 5 of these, depending on which level of vehicle you have. But this is the CAN C, the CAN IHS, which is like instrument cluster and some things like that, I think. If I remember correctly, are basically right over here behind the driver's knee bolster. They're kind of clipped to the back of it. And then there's another one somewhere in the rear. I did pull the trunk liner out just to see if I could see it when I was doing some of my initial checks. and I think it lives somewhere in the, like around the rear seat. But yeah, I've still got good bus. So as long as this stays unplugged, my CAN bus can talk, without being screwed up by that. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Yeah, I don't think I even told you what. I don't think I even told you guys what this is. It's the Chrysler calls it the steering control module. All data service info says it's on the steering column and calls it the steering column control module. It's like $800 from my local dealer, according to RepairLink, which is basically just like the dealer catalog that I use to just check their inventory. It says unavailable, or zero available, and I'll have to call and see what they want to do. See if I can even get the thing. It's possible. It looks like it's basically just a glorified clock spring, but with it out, horn doesn't work, nothing like that. If they want to do it, then which I mean you're going to kind of have to do it right now with it not working. I've got the wiper fuse pulled right now, but if I put it back in, since this doesn't have any input, the wipers go crazy. It's going to try to melt into the windshield, like when a Dodge Tip-'em fails or there's a CAN bus error, and the wipers go crazy and you can't shut them off, so that way it doesn't burn them. But yeah, it basically needs a glorified clock spring. I don't think it needs programmed. You're going to have to do the steering angle initialization and stuff like that at least. Wrong way. But yeah, again, sorry I haven't posted in so long. I hate using the been busy excuse. I bought a GoPro to do some specific jobs for some really high-end stuff, like some exhaust on a Maserati. I've got some footage of that. I don't think it's anything really usable. I didn't really talk at all. It's basically just 8 hours of me pulling a bumper and doing titanium exhaust work and some things like that. I didn't weld any of it, just putting stuff in. If that's stuff that you guys would like to see, I mean, I'd like to keep this channel more for, diag, but, I know those kind of channels don't always do well. I mean, I know there's a few pretty well-known channels in the car community as far as diag goes, and there's some other ones that they just kind of work on a lot of stuff. The other thing is I work in a shop with some other guys, and I've been a little bit nervous to put out certain things because stuff gets said in the background, and I don't particularly care about being monetized or anything like that. But of course, working in a mechanic shop, like there's gonna be stuff sometimes that I've tried to not have be in any of my videos, as far as language or what people say, and I can't really control that. So yeah, I don't want to just have it be a certain way. Like there's a certain level, or maybe not level, but a certain standard that I would like to keep with the videos. I mean, I know there's not a ton of you guys that watch, but I appreciate everybody that watches. I've had a few comments. Those have been great. And it is nice to be able to put out content for you guys, even if there's not a ton of people that watch. It does make it worth it. And this has been more fun, doing this kind of stuff and making the videos than I ever really thought it would be. So yeah, I guess we'll see if they want to buy anything, and maybe either cut this one off here if I can't get it or whatever. But yeah, just click update for you guys. Thanks.